What's going on with White Pines? If you're from Bensenville or the Bensenville area, you're very aware of White Pines Golf Course because it's practically at the center of town. Now, if you're also from the area and drive around a lot, you'll see a lot of signs in the neighbor's yard saying, "Do not sell White Pines." So what's this all about and what's going on with the possible sale of White Pines Golf Course? Before we jump into this topic, let's start off by saying it's near the end of May, and as of right now, there are no concrete plans. Based off the last meeting the Park District had with the public, nothing is set in stone. There is no official sale. There are no updates. There's nothing concrete in the works right now. It is all a discussion based off what we heard in that meeting. Let's start off by saying, why is this even a topic of discussion? Why does there need to be a possible sale of White Pines Golf Course? And why is the Park District even thinking about it? And just based off that meeting, it sounds like this is mainly about money. Money because the Park District needs money to upkeep and maintain the facilities they currently have, and also for future projects they have down the line. Now, why doesn't the Park District have money to begin with? Let's look at the revenue sources the Park District has at its disposal on how it actually makes money. It has three different revenue sources. It has the White Pines Golf Course, it has the Deer Grove Leisure Center, and it has the pool. And those three facilities are the way the Park District primarily makes all its money. Now, based off the meeting, last year alone, the pool lost the Park District over $140,000. Now, how is that possible? Look, we are in the Midwest. It is not always the best weather here. So they're already operating with a very limited time window to actually have the pool open. Not only that, but the current economic environment, there's just not a lot of people here wanting to work those jobs. So not only are they already operating with a very limited time window when it's actually nice in summer season, but because they don't have the staff, there's even fewer hours that it's open, and it really cuts their revenue even more. So that's kind of one of the reasons why they lost over $140,000 last year. On the other hand, the White Pines Golf Course seems like it's carrying its own, because based off of the meeting, they said this year alone, they have more weddings booked than the past 5 years combined, which is a great start, especially with COVID. A lot of things ended up slowing down, but this year it sounds like they're getting a great start and a lot of revenue off of that. Again, they need the money to maintain the facilities, to maintain the areas, because people aren't going to want to have a wedding if the facilities aren't maintained and upkept well. So of course, that's what they need some budget for, to maintain that facility as well. Now, of course, the golf course, it's a golf course, so it's seasonal in that. You're not going to see a lot of people golfing in the winter here in the Chicagoland area. But luckily, they're able to host events and weddings, especially to help bring in some revenue for them. The Leisure Center, they didn't really comment on the revenue the Leisure Center brings, so I don't really have too much to say on that. But it's so far from the three revenue sources, it sounds like the White Pines Golf Course is the main one, because obviously the pool is losing money. The Leisure Center, they didn't really comment too much on that, so I don't have too much to say. But it sounds like the White Pines Golf Course is at least doing better than the pool. One thing to note about the White Pines Golf Course, and it's a big thing to note, is that the Park District owes a $400,000 bond repayment that is due every single year. $400,000. Now, this bond repayment has been in effect since 2014, and it goes all the way out to 2035. So again, we're talking about them not pulling as much revenue as a Park District as they need. On top of that, they have a $400,000 bond repayment that they need to get back for the White Pines Golf Course every year, which again really sucks a lot out of the revenue that it pulls every year. So now that we're taking a little bit look behind the scenes on exactly how they make money and some of the expenses that they have to cover, we're seeing why they're in a deficit and seeing why they need a little bit more money, and why either they need to find ways to get more revenue in the Park District or find ways to cut costs. And they already said they really need to maintain these facilities, so cutting costs might not be an option, and it's really finding ways to produce more revenue and find ways to make money if they were not to sell the golf course. Now again, there's nothing set in stone. There's a few ideas on what they can do with White Pines, but they don't have any idea as of yet. They don't have concrete plans. They're still in discussion about what they want to do and where they want to head. And there are some ideas. For example, one of the ideas was turning it into a sort of sports complex, where you turn it into a sports complex where you can have tournaments, and not only that, but have a hotel area as well. So a lot of people out of town can come in, bring business to Bensenville, bring business from out of town and have sports tournaments there. Not only that, but they would have a section there for residential buildings, which would be townhouses as well, and of course a portion that would be industrial as well. So it would be a little bit of mix of everything. That was just one idea that was thrown out. But one idea that was definitely disliked by the majority of the people there was possibly selling the land to an industrial buyer who would make it into an industrial area. And a lot of people really did not like that idea because it would really affect the home values in the area. I mean, you see White Pines Golf Course, it's in the middle of Bensenville. Imagine if they turned that into an industrial area. I don't see how that would really help the home values. Again, we don't know exactly what it would turn out to. If it ended up being a bunch of warehouses, I don't see how that would help the residential areas close by. Again, it's all up in the air, but that's one thing that nobody wanted. There's many people disgruntled at the fact that why is this even on the table? Why are we even having this discussion to sell this for an industrial buyer? And they were just very confused and very unhappy at the fact that if they can sell this for townhouses, if they can make it a sports complex, whatever it can be, as long as it is not going to be turned into an industrial area, a lot of people were very adamant about that. A lot of people were asking, why is industrial even on the table? And basically, it's really about the money and how much it would be able to bring in. Now, I'm not going to go over figures and go over numbers because they don't have any bids as of right now. Based off of what they said, they don't have any industrial bids on the table. So they're just throwing out figures. And the last thing I want to do is throw figures, say, hey, if they got a 100 million industrial buyer versus a 10 million residential buyer, it doesn't really matter until you actually have the facts in hand on what's going to happen. So basically, everything is up into the air until they get the facts and figures of exactly how much they're going to be offered for which type of scenario, and once they find that out, they'll be able to make a more clear-cut decision. Now, one thing I will note from the meeting is the Park District was very, very upset or very defensive about the fact that they have been talking about this for years. I believe they threw out 2016 or 2017 is when this topic started out, and yet nobody talked about it, nobody said anything until recently. And so they were very upset about it, and I understand if you've been talking about this for years, why is everybody throwing a fit now? Why is everybody upset now, but weren't upset a few years ago when this idea first was brought up? The thing is, I can understand that. At the same time, when people throw things out there like ideas and thoughts, they're just that. They're just ideas. There's nothing concrete. But now as we're coming as 3 to 4 or 5 years into this idea, and now it's becoming more of a reality, it's starting to hit the residents a lot more, and it's hitting them at a different angle than it was a few years ago. Because a few years ago, people probably didn't take it seriously. People don't think it was actually happening. Maybe people just didn't hear about it back then, and they're hearing about it now. So you can't get angry at them if they're upset about it now versus a few years ago, because maybe they didn't even know about it, and now they're hearing about it, and now they're understanding what's going on. And so please keep that in mind. I understand it can be frustrating when you've been talking about this for years, but the thing is, they're hearing about the impact and implications it could have on them now versus a few years ago. So that's why there's such an uproar and so many people are disgruntled. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. Just like many of you, I just heard about this recently. I didn't know about this for the past few years. I just found out about this the past few months. I used to live in Bensenville. I lived in Bensenville for many, many years and was a part of the community there until recently when I moved to Addison. But I am still involved and I still want to know exactly what's happening in the community and what's going on there. So I'm going to keep you informed. If you're wondering what's going to happen with White Pines Golf Course, if you want to stay in tune, make sure to follow. I'm going to keep you up to date. We're going to go to the meetings. We're going to try to collect as much information as we can. And when we know more, we're going to share with you and let you know what's going on. So make sure to follow along. Make sure to follow us so that we can keep you up to date so that nobody's caught off guard and nobody doesn't know what's going to happen with White Pines Golf Course.